Welcome, park managers, to the Southwestern USA Jurassic Challenge Strategy Guide. My name is Chef Doug, and today we're going to take on this daunting, crazy desert and strive to get 5 stars in one of the most difficult missions in the entire franchise. But first, enjoy this little montage of dinosaurs walking around, doing things and eating and such. Oh, and there's a pyramid. There will be storms. Carnotaurus just hanging out. They look frozen, right? Like their animation glitched. Get ready to medicate your dinosaurs, because why not show some first-person footage of that? Oh, of course, the poor ranger gets hit. And, yeah, we're fixing up a monorail after it's been damaged by a storm. Okay, let's get started with this thing, yeah? Before we load in, though, let's take a quick look at the conditions to see what we're up against. You only have about $3 million to get started. In fact, it might be a little bit less, around $2.9 million or so. There are 4 herds of wild dinosaurs on this map that you can use for some free appeal. But the meat of this challenge is that dinosaurs born with negative physical traits will have a much shorter lifespan. This Kentrosaurus, its expected lifespan is only 8 because it's weak. The prices of all-terrain editing moves have been increased by a factor of 5. So adding water or vegetation, or even sand, which there should be plenty of sand, it's a desert. You get no more than 6 power sources. That's your generators and power stations combined. You can't have more than 6 total. And the cherry on top is that you may not apply any building upgrades. So no increased yield, no improved extraction capacity, and no reduced scientist wages. The key to finding success on this mission, like any of the other Jurassic challenges or Chaos Theory missions, is to get off to a strong start. Real estate in this desert is pretty limited, so we want to find a new place for our administrative buildings. While they're okay where they currently are, in all of my builds, I've moved them over to this section over here. I put the control center over there, and then I'm going to put all of my power stations, my research center, my expedition center, my hatchery, and my staff centers are all going to be over in this little corner. Good. Now, to the left of where your park entrance originally is situated, you'll find this lake, or little pond, I should say, and you can see that there are some compies hanging out around here. These wild dinosaurs are going to be free appeal, and you'll want to capitalize on them by corralling them in and surrounding them with a fence. Since these dinosaurs are wild, you can't assign your helicopter to tranquilize them for you. You'd have to hop into the helicopter and try to manually shoot these little teeny dinosaurs. Now, they only take 1 sedation dart each, but it would take, honestly, like 10-15 minutes to try and tranquilize them yourself. So it's a lot easier if you just build a fence and corral them in. This fence will also serve as an enclosure for the other herds of wild dinosaur that we're going to grab next. So move your park entrance right over here, and then once this is laid down, go and grab the capture team and move it over here as well. You'll have to build a long path, however, from your administrative buildings all the way over to that park entrance in order for them to work. Once the path is done, open up your scientists page, and you'll immediately discover that there's a huge problem. You're going to be paying your staff around $430,000 per minute, and that's going to quickly drain your bank account. So you'll want to start firing some staff, but don't fire everybody. Each time you play it, you get a different role on scientists and skills. You're going to want at least 3 scientists. Make sure that you have enough logistics to conduct some of the necessary research. You want to get your power station researched ASAP, so don't fire everybody. But anyone who's costing you $80,000 or $90,000 per minute, that scientist just isn't worth it. Get them fired. You might even want to just start researching those core things, and then once they're researched, fire everybody else. As always, make sure you research power, but also make sure to prioritize researching pretty much every other core building. Even your bathrooms and safety shelters will need to be researched before you can build them.
I'm something of a perfectionist.
While all that research is going down, hop into the helicopter and make your way over towards the herds of wild dinosaurs. There are some Gigantosaurus, some Notosauruses, and some Chasmosauruses for you to capture. That Gigantospinosaurus is a stegosaurid type dinosaur, which means it is not going to like ceratopsids or ankylosaurids. Since the Chasmosaurus is a ceratopsid and the Notosaurus is an ankylosaurid, you do not want them in the same enclosure together. Put the Gigantospinosaurus in with the compies. Now this does mean that you'll have to add another enclosure, so go ahead and build that, and then go and round up the 2 remaining herds of wild dinosaurs and put both of them into this enclosure together. They like each other, so you'll have no problems with cohabitation. These 4 herds should form the backbone to your profits and appeal as you get going, and should be able to generate around 1.5 stars or so with just these dinosaurs. Now, while you're rounding up these dinosaurs, though, you may start to notice that you're running low on cash. Once all of your research is completed and you can access the core guest buildings and the Paleo Med facility, I recommend firing everybody. Remember that editing terrain is extremely expensive, and your herds of dinosaurs are going to need food and water. And if you're paying your staff, you're probably not going to be able to afford planting those bushes and trees and whatever for your dinosaurs to graze upon. Prioritize dinosaur comfort first to prevent them from attempting to break out. And it goes without saying that you'll need amenities around for your guests to shop and get food and drinks around. Don't forget also to configure them to sell the correct product that your guests are looking for, and adjust the interior modules to maximize the profits earned. You'll want to frequently monitor your management screen and identify gaps in your guest comfort or approval. If those are lower than 100%, then your guest count will be less than your guest potential. You can improve your guest count by adding bathrooms, shelters, hotels, and whatever. Once you get everything maxed out, the numbers should start to rise and you'll get much more guests into your park. Now, I did run into a little snag in which one of my dinosaurs got sick before I could research the Paleo Med facility. Sick dinosaurs are definitely not good for your park, especially if it's a heavily contagious disease. So if you get a sick dinosaur before you've researched the Paleo Med facility, sell that dinosaur or quarantine it. I just opted to sell it because I just didn't want to deal with a sick dinosaur. If your cash balance starts to run low, you may get offered some money from an unpopular company. I would definitely accept the money. Cash is going to be hard to come by throughout this, especially in the early game when you have low appeal. So take the cash, use it to hire some staff, and start cranking out some research. Now, there's not a specific order in which you want to research things. You'll definitely want to get those core buildings, again, electricity, the Paleo Med facility, the staff center, These are some of the things that you'll want to prioritize getting first. That way you can treat sick dinosaurs, put your staff to rest if necessary, and of course you do not want to use backup generators to provide your electricity. And since your scientists' wages are so high and you start to get hit by the income tax after $300,000, research may be a little slow going at first. The time will come, however, when you need to go out for expeditions and start researching for dinosaurs to add them to your park. Now, which dinosaur you get comes down to a handful of factors. Carnivores, though more appealing, are usually more expensive and are typically higher maintenance compared to their herbivores. Also, with herbivores, you can put much more of them into one enclosure and generate a great deal of appeal just by having several species and dinosaurs in one enclosure together. Most herbivores have a set type of herbivore that they like, and dinosaurs that like each other will not affect their cohabitation scores. So this means that you could put a handful of Triceratops and Ankylosauruses into an enclosure together, and since they like each other, they should be perfectly fine and not feel overcrowded. Then, just toss in maybe some hadrosaurids like a Parasaurolophus or an Edmontosaurus, which pretty much have no enemies among herbivores, and you can make a highly appealing enclosure in a fairly small amount of space. Just make sure that everyone has their necessary food and water requirements met, and they'll be good to go. Remember that one of the major challenges you'll have to deal with, though, is that dinosaurs born with weak or negative health or combat traits will have a very, very short lifespan, roughly 10% of what their usual lifespan is. This has a few implications. First off, you'll want to maximize as much as you can the genome of each dinosaur. This will give you access to more gene modification points to ensure that the dinosaurs are not born with any of these negative traits. However, in order to unlock some of these gene modifications, you'll have to release dinosaurs that have the negative trait. So if you want to research for the strong trait, you'll need to release weak dinosaurs first. Also, some dinosaurs do not become available to research until you've released dinosaurs that have some of these traits. And it doesn't stop there, because some of the unlock requirements require that a dinosaur wins a certain number of fights, or even you have to let some dinosaurs die of dehydration or starvation. I'd recommend that you use the less expensive herbivores to accomplish these research tasks. So ultimately, you're going to need to work towards perfecting the genome 100% on your dinosaurs, especially the expensive carnivores, and you'll need to modify the genes of each of them to ensure that they are not born with any of those negative traits. Keeping all of this in mind, work towards achieving a high enough star rating until you can unlock the Lagoon and the Mosasaurus. Don't forget to research the Lagoon viewing gallery as well, and as soon as you can, build the Lagoon, build a hatchery, go and get the Mosasaurus DNA, get it 100%, and apply the modification points to ensure that there is a 0% chance that your Mosasaurus is born with any of the negative combat or health traits. This is going to be an expensive endeavor, but it will be well worth it. Then, do the same thing for the Carcharodontosaurus, the Spinosaurus, and the Suchomimus. If only it were that easy, though. These 4 species are highly appealing, and they'll draw several guests to your park and make your amenities very popular, but you're still going to need to populate your park with a variety of other species, and you'll want to ensure that all of them have at least no negative traits. If they have positive traits, cool, it helps. Especially the well-fed and the quenched traits are good to have for your herbivores. And then you'll want to get tolerant and social carnivores to ensure that they don't fight that often. Place as many individuals as you can into the enclosures to max out on the appeal. My final bit of advice for this Jurassic challenge is to never do a full reset. Sometimes you may find yourself hovering at 4.8 or 4.9 stars and all of your amenities are maxed out. You don't have room for any more dinosaurs, yet for some reason you just can't seem to get that 5th star. And it could be maybe at that point, maybe you just want to go into your amenities and max out income over profit. Now let's say you've done that as well and you still can't get over that hump to the 5th star. If you find that you've got to restart, your better option, instead of doing a complete reset from scratch, just sell everything. Sell your dinosaurs. Then sell all of the buildings. You should have, after you've done that, a few $1 million worth in the bank. And you have all of the research completed. You don't have to go back and get more fossils. You don't have to go and research those new traits. That's what happened in this successful playthrough right here. Okay, I didn't sell everything. I kept my Mosasaurus, I kept my Lagoon, and then I synthesized a new Mosasaurus egg. Then I sold everything, got rid of all my dinosaurs, all my buildings, completely started fresh, and then got those 3 big carnivores, the Spinosaurus, the Suchomimus, and the Carcharodontosaurus. Of course, I had to add several other species, but I didn't have to do any of the research. Then I made sure to set my amenities to focus on income, not profit. Profit's good for building money. Income is what you need, though, to generate the most stars. Folks, this concludes the Southwest USA Jurassic Challenge Guide. Thanks so much for watching. Keep an eye out for more. You can even subscribe so that you know right away when I post a new video. Have a great day. See you next time.